We're all getting ready for a ride.
When I decide I'm going to go for a little bit, and if I really feel shitty, I'll come back.
Yay!
If I really feel shitty, I'll come back.
Bikerowave has played a really important part in a lot of our lives, so we thank Alex.
Yeah.
All right, saddle up. Get your lights on. Oh, sorry.
We stop at lights, call out hazards, call out turns, and
If you have a
get a
flat,
flat, call out flat. We will stop.
no, we have stuff.
We have tools and everything, so call it out, call everything out. Use your lights.
And don't pass Jane, she will pass you with extreme prejudice.
Everybody hold hands.
What would we do without Francis? We're waiting to hear the story.
Everybody, announcement, story time. All right, here we go. Go ahead, Alex.
I haven't really heard anything, but I'll tell you a little bit about this place. So, we used to have a ride that started down by the Dragon under the pier that Max and his two friends Alec and Brian started, and that formed this little crew of people, and there were a lot of other little crews of people that we would ride all the way to LA Critical Mass and ride back, or ride to Midnight Riders and ride back, and from that came Santa Monica Critical Mass, which was started by Zach Beatty, who was one of the founders of Bikerowave. And that group got bigger and bigger and bigger, and at some point we looked at what the bike kitchen was over 15 miles east, and we wanted our own. So there was a buzz and a talk, and eventually we got together at this coffee house in the courtyard here, and it was myself, Kent and Barbara, raise your hands, and then Yolanda and Zach and Dan DeVreen and Matthias,
Yes.
yeah, and a bunch of other people who I cannot remember right now. I dug up the emails.
We love them all!
Yeah. And we had a long conversation about what we should do and how we get this West Side Bike Kitchen together. And a lot of names are thrown out there, including Bikerowave, which would not be my first choice. But I guess that stuck. And so then we sort of had this idea with this name, and at that point it sort of went to sleep for a while. That was, I think, September 2006, and then it sort of went quiet for a while. And until we go to our next destination, I'll tell you what happened next. Does anybody have any questions for like Max or Kent or Barbara?
What's the next destination?
We're gonna go to the first Bikerowave.
Yeah, wasn't there another meeting at the Venice Grind coffee joint?
Was there? Scott. Scott was there. Were you at this one, Scott? Scott was one of the very first people involved, and Scott rides like 200 miles a day. He's an amazing bike mechanic and an artist, and he was a very early contributor and helped a lot. And I neglected to mention somebody who's super important, who drove a lot of that discussion, who was Yolanda. And Yoli was like one of the adults in the room early on, kept things going, was very, just helped everybody out, right?
And we all had a huge crush on Yoli.
Everybody
at Bikerowave.
And I disclosed it to her 10 years later.
So anyway, at that point, the conversation stopped for a little bit. There was another conversation you were saying, was it after that, Scott?
On Venice?
On Venice Blvd?
No, it was before here.
All right,
Before.
It was soon after.
After 18, so we had another conversation. And then it kind of went quiet, and then somebody came along, and they got it going again. And that's Zach Beatty. He's right here.
Whoa.
Zach is another co-founder. Zach, can you tell us what happened?
How did you do it, Jack?
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. It's funny. It's so good to go into Bikerowave nowadays and be completely anonymous, and have people. I was just saying, it's fun to go in there and have people tell me about Bikerowave, and like, hey, are you a student, or you become involved? Because it was so long ago that this place, we got sort of a handshake deal with the Green Party at the time that I was involved with, and Mike Feinstein's. Ken, you remember?
Sure. And bike out.
Absolutely. And this was a Green Party of Santa Monica Green Party space that was really underutilizing this massive open activist space, and it was, you know, it was sort of a Green Party history museum with lots of stuff on the walls, but it was like, hey, we need a DIY bike space. What's up? And we kind of had a handshake deal, no paperwork, pretty low key. And you know, never imagined it would be like the real thing that it is today.
How many nights a week were you open initially?
3?
Yeah, it was
3.
It was like 3. You know, we had some early meetings here. Credit to Alex for the name. You know, we were talking about bike oven. Then there was the bike kitchen. So there's a bike kitchen and the bike oven, and Alex is like, what about Bikerowave? And I'm like, that's stupid.
I agree.
I credit to him, because I said, that's dumb. Yeah. Can we break with the cooking kitchen theme?
You did say that.
But then Yoli came up with a wave design, and so it was the 3 of us that,
It's stuck.
But within a year, I moved out to New York and pieced out, and my involvement, you know, was kind of ended there. And so it's so cool to see where, you know, where it's growing.
It's worth noting that all the co-ops that abandoned the kitchen theme, the cooking theme, are no longer in existence.
Yeah, it's necessary for success.
They die.
It's a special sauce. So Zach says he pieced out, but actually he was forced to move because of work. Otherwise, he would have been intimately involved. But after that, Zach and Yolanda and I got together. Zach being the person with all the connections and knowing how to get things done, and knowing Mike, and Yolanda being the person who's like going to make sure that things get notarized and everything done right. And then I don't know why they included me, but and we sat down and we basically agreed that the 3 of us would take the risk.
Yep.
We'd be the little triumvirate for a little while, and then devolve all the work to everybody else. And we had a bunch of like informal days, and then I guess Rachel found this email.
No, Maxwell found it.
Max found this email. Greetings all. Hope you enjoyed the holidays and plan to join us in smashing.
What was the date?
Oh, the date was January 4th, 2007.
Woo!
So we started here in November, but it was under the, you know, November 2006. It was, it was quiet.
It was,
Greetings all. Hope you enjoyed the holidays and plan to join us in smashing champagne bottles and Bikerowave's new digs. Perhaps we will even discover champagne's astounding degreasing ability. One can only hope. Come by on Sunday, the 7th of January at 5 p.m. at 2811 Pico. Bike parking can be found by heading around the back of the building. Car parking, also known as the parking of shame, is also found around back. And this last part I think is still true. You tell me. Several folks already asked about tool and part donation. Any and all donations would be deeply appreciated. I think no more pedals or saddles. And as it all helps us get closer to opening the doors to the public. Thanks, Alex, Yoli, and Zach.
I love you guys.
Right.
Any questions? Anybody want to know anything? Trivia? Birthdays?
Well, here's a little trivia. Around this time, when we were all thinking about how it could grow, I was up in Santa Cruz and I visited the bicycle church up there. And they already had their scene rolling, and they had all kinds of cool storage, all these bins and stuff. So I took a bunch of pictures of it, or one or more. It got stuck on the wall here for a while as inspiration.
So you're saying we could have been the bicycle synagogue and we blew it?
But the question is, does the bicycle church still exist?
Yes. Oh, it's flourishing. Yeah.
Nice. Religion or food?
It's good for them.
Does that framed picture still exist of all of you in front of the Joker? What happened to that?
Oh, that's right. The early days, the Joker.
That was a shit.
What happened there?
Gentrification, that's what happened.
He has a good photo of all the volunteers like in the first day. Yeah. Should we go on?
Yeah, on to the next one.
All right.
How long were you guys here?
Oh yeah, so we were here 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, I was going to say 6, but 4 or 5 probably.
Yeah,
right.
something like somewhere between 5 and 6.
Yeah.
And then we had to close down because the building was sold. And at that point, we moved as much as we could. Some of it ended up in my bedroom, like the stands. The bike stands were in my bedroom. And we had a few months without a place, and then we found a new home. We tried to locate as close to this place as we could.
Yep.
So we're gonna go there next.
Oh,
So I don't remember the spot of this place, but I think it was probably Yolanda. Paul Brighetto. Did Paul find Paul Brighetto is this in Gurn. Yeah. And so we found this place. We had like a month and a half without a place. I think it was $900 a month, which is a fucking steal. But it was in bad shape. Like if you look at the roof here, it's that corrugated whatever. And there was leaks, and it was just, the floor was crap. But people just threw, it was big compared to our old space, and people just threw donations at us, just threw stuff at us. So like, Gurn, for example, donated a $25,000 shop floor that you guys still have in Bikerowave 3, and the place exploded. And shortly after we were there, we started making money, which we just rolled back in, and gradually over time, it became the volunteers' place. The volunteers run it like they do now. There was no tyrant. There was no like king of Bikerowave. It was just this weird thing that we still have today, where somehow all these people can figure out how to do something together without telling each other what to do. Or maybe everybody tells each other what to do. I don't know. You tell me. Yeah, and that's the story. We were here for, I don't know,
A couple of years?
3-4 years, 2.5 years, let's say.
Yeah.
And then, what possessed us to move?
Rent. Rent. They wanted us out of here.
So we left to pay more rent.
And I think there was there were factions within
That's
the
right.
Bikerowave.
There were some factions.
And there was a group that wanted to go, and a group that wanted to be in a more visible location. And it kind of tore the place apart for a while. We could actually get into some serious drama if you want to.
No, let's not do that.
We'll do that back at.
But Madsen was one of the people that recognized that, like, you would not believe the kind of directions we had to give people, because they would come up here to Nebraska. This is before everybody had $1,000 a computer in their pocket, and then they would try to find this, and we had a crappy phone, and it just was so hard to find. And Madsen and a bunch of other people, but especially Steve, and they were like, look, we want to be visible on a major street, lots more room, we can afford it, let's go. And then we did this big search.
It also, having a storefront, meant that we could set up accounts with all of the vendors that we have now. And we chose at some point, while we were still here, whether we wanted to be a 501c3 co-op, or if we wanted to be a nonprofit, or if we wanted to be a for-profit, not-for-profit.
So that was like our Brexit discussion.
It was totally the Brexit.
Well, actually, Jimmy Lazama actually recommended against going.
He did.
So did I.
I remember.
Fought super hard against it.
And by the way, those conversations started like day one, pre-Pico. Like before you even had a thing, there was a debate about like, oh, we're gonna be a co-op. We have to be a co-op. It's gonna be a freaking co-op. And then you're like, well, we don't even have our first space.
A little bit of geographical history. The building that's right up on Nebraska there that we turned past when we came up the alley was the original location of Southern California Institute of Architects, or SCIARC.
Oh, that's right.
So this is kind of the birthplace of some good things, actually, right around here.
Didn't Franz live up on the
Tom started over here.
Yeah, Tom started right in that building directly in back of all.
They're not such a big deal.
Question, Alex.
Yeah.
You said that like you and Zach and Yoli came together to pool resources. Did you invest your own money into the space?
I could speak to that. So,
Okay.
Yoli had, design skills, and everyone. There were these complementary sort of synergies. Alex had more money than both of us at the time. So there was some money in individually, but ultimately Alex put much more in than I was. I was contributing lots of other things, but I wasn't.
You paid the rent
And
for
it
several
all-
months.
And all that money.
Not to
got
put you
paid
on the
back.
spot, Alex, but Alex definitely had some personal resources that we didn't, and so.
I inherited some money because way back in time I had a rich relative and they sold some land. And so for a brief moment in time when I was making $18,000 a year as a grad student, I had enough to support this and
It was the right.
buy more beer.
It was,
We paid it back, so you have to reverse clap.
But
now.
what's great, as soon as we moved into our next location, we were raking in the money.
And still
made
only
so much
taking
money.
cash.
And Alex and I rode across town to go to a meeting at the Bike Kitchen, And their meetings, we were like, oh my God, these guys are organized. Shit. They were like decorum and quorum. Like they had it all figured out. And we wanted to borrow how much? $1,000 or $1,500 or something?
I don't remember.
To help pay like a deposit. But it was like a small amount of money, and they were thinking about it, and they were thinking about it, and they were thinking about it. And I don't think we got the money.
I don't remember.
I don't think so.
Maybe we didn't even get the money because they had to debate it for so long. But by the time, and you came up with a business plan.
I don't think I ever
You
wrote
did.
anything. So
You came up with a brilliant
That was
business
the
plan.
nonprofit that helped fund the kitchen. That same group, right?
That was the Lauren
You know what I'm
Bond.
talking about?
Yeah,
Community
the-
community partners.
Right.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Okay, that's the umbrella.
Yes,
Community
they're umbrella.
Partners does they host 501c3s. I don't think they do any funding.
So Alex came up with a business plan, presented it to the Bikerowave community. I think we can pull this off if we make a move. And it was a big risk. We found that place eventually on Venice Blvd. We worked out a deal where we had rent at a certain level that would grow, that would increase over the next 5 years. And here we are 10 years later. We're still there. And a lot of painting, a lot of sweat equity went from moving here over to the other space because we were moved in.
Yeah.
And the fucking place took off.
Yeah.
Like it really did well. We paid Alex back. We paid Paul Bringhetto back all of the money we owed him for the phone bill for the years he was paying his business phone bill.
Paid Yoli back.
Paid Yoli back.
That's
We
Wow.
gave Gurn a huge tool collection for his tools.
Two other things that are important. One is trivia, which is that the guy that built this property like 1 million years ago was kind of nutty, and he dug all these tunnels. And there's a big pit over there, and you can lift up this steel plate. I don't know, and we would play like bike polo in that pit and have parties. And it's this pit you could fall, you could kill yourself, and then there's these tunnels you can go in, which are fucking dangerous. But we got in a lot of trouble for that. And then we had a horrible landlord. And the other thing is, we started to open this space. So this space became a huge nexus for rides. There was a ride called Cub Camp that was huge. We initially started a ride called Crank Mob that started here. It was a huge place for meeting when Santa Monica Critical Mass started getting harassed by the police. This was one of the centers of organizing to try to fight them on that. Don't know if we won that battle, but we fought it. And we even had people, coming in here late at night having some parties, which was a lot of fun. But then there was a fist fight with a neighboring tenant. They were in the wrong. We won the fight. I'm not saying I was there, and we got in a lot of trouble. So
you were banned from the property.
Wasn't
for a
I?
while.
Yeah. Listen, like nobody's perfect.
In a vote?
But it was a great
the
place
landlord.
for the bike community.
One other really great piece of trivia there, in addition to the more public rides, there were kind of underground rides that came out of here. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of the Criminals, but if you look them up on YouTube, we rode across the 17th Street Bridge. They hung a big banner over the fence there that said, if you were on a bike, you'd be home by now. It was huge traffic. One of those people, some of those people actually may be among you now. One of them is somebody that I was responsible for bringing into the world, and he's actually the person who brought me here as an aging doctoral student who ended up completely gerrymandering my work to look at emergence of bike culture in LA. So I actually wrote about Bikerowave and all the co-ops and the night rides, and then all the goofballs that became political, very politically active in the transportation planning world. And actually, we could talk about this more later, but Alex was really one of those people who was at the core of the bike plan. I mean, the bike community got together, rejected, I think, 3 plans that the city came up with, or at least 2.
One, but at the right time.
Yeah. So, but the final one essentially was the plan, and I think Mihai was doing mapping around that stuff, crash mapping, and it was
some of those actually got implemented. Like we have bike lanes also now south of Sunset because of the work we put in. If you can believe that. That's
the plan that did get implemented. And so Bikerowave has been more than just, a wrenching co-op. It's been a hotbed of political action as well.
I love Bikerowave! Let's roll! Let's roll!
Thank you guys. Thank you. Hell yeah.
Where is
Jane, calm down. Roll up. Ding-a-ling-a-ling. Bikerowave! Now let's do this every week. What's up, doorman? You look tough.
Yeah. You gotta go through me.
Suggested.
Yeah, I'm gonna start a queue up here, a line here in a minute. I'm gonna start picking and choosing. Look at that. Oh, I think you donated enough, didn't you? Hey, how you doing, man?
Good. It's just for television. Give it back to me later.
All right, I got you.
just for television?
Yeah. Hey, you got
get in there.
Yeah, I saw it.
What up, people?
Metro area of LA County, not the best bike share. Can I just say that? Not the best bike share, but they're up there. They're one of the top three, I'd say. However, don't forget about, the other bike shares. Anyway, so this is a fanny pack. Heyo, in England that's naughty. Yeah, we're going to give you some sunglasses and a nice recyclable bag so we can save the planet, make Greta Thunberg happy. Alright, here's the tickets. It's another blue one. 822, the last three numbers are 076. 076. 0076.
Oh, you don't trust me? You don't trust me?
George is going to announce the next prize.
Oh.
Is this on?
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Did you turn this on?
Alright, here we go. We're going to give out another one. The next prize is a Key Smart. Never lose your keys again. Hey! If you're one of those genders that loses keys, this is it. So, we're going to pick another blue ticket. Get that one right there. Alright, it's going to be 822. The last numbers are 003. 003. Never lose your keys again. Your life's going to change immediately. 822-003. I feel bad.
Pick another one.
003 going once. 003 going twice. 003 gone. We're going to pick again. Yeah! Alright, here we go. The next one. 822-031. 031. Never lose your keys again. Oh, look at you. Luckiest lady on the face of the planet. Congratulations. Thanks for coming by the way. Alright, now, we're going to continue giving out raffle tickets. Or we're continuing giving out prizes. However, you need to purchase raffle tickets. They're still available. We're going to run a special $2 per ticket, 5 for 10, 10 for 20 bucks. And then that's, that's the metric system. One more prize. We got a marital aid.
Marital aid.
700 by 23 foldable tire. Come on, Jane, get on the phone.
Why are you on crack, man?
822-034. 034. What? 822034. Hey yo.
Anna. Oh, she can go fast with these tires. Yeah, yeah,
All right,
yeah.
we're gonna put the music back on and play some more. And then come on up. Don't all rush at once to buy tickets, but you know, you can see other Tim here.
Thank you, Tim. Good job.
They're hanging out in the donut shop. They sing and dance. Oh, spin the club down to the coastline. All the Japanese with their yen, the party boys call them Grambling. And Chinese know they walk the line like a shit. All the cops in the donut shop say, walk like an Egyptian. Walk like an Egyptian.